Okay, good morning. Welcome to day two. So, if you don't know me yet, fantastic. Grab a seat, matter of fact, grab two and bring one for your friend. My name is Dr. Lulu, aka the Momatrician. I am the CEO of Dr. Lulu's Life Coaching Lounge. I am a retired pediatrician. I like to say I am retired from active duty medicine, but I am still a physician at heart. I think I'll always be a pediatrician at heart. These days, I mostly speak and write, and my energy is directed towards youth suicide prevention. So please, if you're watching me, kindly type your name so I can see you. I'm using a brand new app to me, and it is called StreamYard. I'm able to stream this live on my Facebook neighborhood, in onto my YouTube channel, and also onto LinkedIn. So I'm really excited to meet y'all. It is still very, very early and very, very cold. And last night I caught myself doing something outdoors, and I got a piece of something into my eye, my right eye. So if you see me doing this, rubbing it or kind of messing with it or trying not to, that's what's happening. So, my name is Dr. Lulu. Yesterday was like an introductory show. We didn't really talk about much, but today I want to talk about my why. I want to introduce you to myself and me, myself, and I, all three of us, and my brain, who I call Babe. You're going to hear me talk about Babe a lot. She is my constant companion. She has been with me, just like yours, throughout all nearly 53 years of my life now, and it has been interesting to say the least. So, where can I start now? Let me start with medical school. How about that? So, I went to medical school on a dare. Actually, my dad wanted me to become a pharmacist, and I wanted to be an architect. And I was like, why would I be a pharmacist? Why? And he said, because it's more feminine. And I was like, what? No. So I decided to go to medical school. I said, you know what? If I'm going to do anything in the medical field, I might as well become a doctor. I had no idea what medicine was going to be like. But what I did was show up to become a medical doctor and fall in love with medicine. And so I am a pediatrician through and through. My blood is red and pediatrics mixed together. And that's kind of how I discovered youth suicide. I had a 15-year-old patient of mine put a bullet in his head after many months of suffering. The last time I saw him, his mother wanted me to check him for drugs. She thought he had been using drugs, because why would he quit the football team, and why would he not want to do anything that he used to like to do, and all this. And after I assessed him, I realized that he was depressed and suicidal. And I told the mom, I said, he's probably going to need medications. A lot of things are wrong with that. What I realize now is, even before jumping to medications, we should find out why a child is suffering. And what I've found out over the years now is, a lot of times it is rooted in childhood trauma. And there's no medication for that, it's only prevention. So, cut a long story short, when I turned 26 or 27 in medicine, I started getting restless. I really wanted to do something different. I wanted to do something different. I didn't know what it was, but I knew I was getting restless with medicine. It wasn't working out for me anymore. I'm not cut out to just after 25 years, right? I realized that I'm not cut out to write prescriptions, or I was tired of writing prescriptions. I was able to connect with my parents and my patients alike. That is one thing that I'm able to do, is to connect with people on a very sacred level. I have the capability to do that. And I realized I need to do something different. And I wanted to help. I wanted to help my kids beyond just writing prescriptions for them. And when I encountered my 8-year-old patient who attempted suicide twice, I was like, and then I realized that I was interested a little bit more in why he wanted to kill himself. In that little boy's case, he experienced extreme childhood trauma, inner city childhood trauma, single parent childhood trauma, mother's boyfriend childhood trauma. So put the two and two together, okay? And I was so devastated. I went home that day looking like I had seen a ghost. And when my baby son, I'll bring my books tomorrow, I promise. When my baby son said, Mom, you could come to my school to talk to the kids or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. I was like, bingo, I'm going to do that. And so I went to the middle school here and spoke to them about bullying. I literally just called and invited myself actually. And they said yes. I need to do that again. So I spoke to the PTA about bullying. I spoke to the kids about bullying, and it felt so good. I was so comfortable doing that. Speaking has never been an issue for me, but talking about bullying as a pediatrician gives so much credibility to what I was saying, and I loved it. And over the years, it kind of evolved to just talking about youth suicide prevention. And so for 2 years or so, between 2018 and 2020 ish, I was hardcore talking about youth suicide prevention. And I wrote my first book about parenting and my second book about youth suicide, youth, really not so much youth suicide prevention as mental health in children. And this is a dummy, so I'll get the real book tomorrow. I'll put all of them here so I can show all of y'all, but just to paint a picture. So I wrote that book and I'll talk more about that book Sunday. And then I loved it. I really enjoyed doing speaking engagements. And of course, I did my TED Talk last year. My TED Talk is called Childhood Trauma and What You Can Do to Help or How You Can Help, something like that. But if you type my name, Uchenna Ome, you will find, let me write it, my name. This is the name you want to look up for the TEDx. And it's TEDx A Leaf. That's the name of the TEDx organization that I was the first speaker ever. It was a brand new TEDx and I was their first speaker ever. I'm going to go down in the history books for that. Sadly, the TED people had issues with my TED Talk. And so they put it on their YouTube, but they did not put it on their website. But you know what? It's okay. The reason they had issues is because I challenged the norm. I challenged the norm of using medication as the go-to strategy for children who experience depressive symptoms. Yes, I did. I did. I did that. There is a lot to be said about groupthink and kind of going with the flow all the time and just never challenging the norms. All my patients that I talked to that are depressed, every last one of them had an underlying traumatic episode. And I just wasn't convinced that medication was getting the job done. Yes, there was counseling. Yeah. But my own personal opinion is that while the counseling is great and medication works, it's not getting the job done because suicide rates are still going up. And so that for me has kept me up at night. And they say if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. So I've been trying to figure out why is it that the children are getting the medication. Hey, they're changing the dose, they're increasing the dose, they're changing the class, they're giving them medicines, they're getting counseling for the most part, but they're still killing themselves. So hear me out when I say it just wasn't adding up. It just was not adding up. for me. So I wanted something more. I wanted to figure out why is it that the kids are still dying? If medicine works, if counseling works, if together they work better, why is the suicide rate still paralleling the use of antibiotics? Antidepressants. Why? And while I don't have all the answers yet, I discovered ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences, a group of, I guess, situations that happen to children when they're young or people when they're young, aka trauma, that is almost 100% preventable. In fact, it is 100% preventable. So the study that was done in 1997 by Kaiser Permanente and the CDC, they found that 17,000 respondents admitted to various kinds of childhood trauma, ranging from maternal, domestic violence, sexual assault, parental divorce, family history of mental illness, family history of going to jail, emotional abuse, all those kinds of things. They said that they experienced that, many, many more. And these people, as adults, experience mental health challenges, which is what I like to call it. Mental health challenges stemming from self doubt and self harm and self hatred and drug abuse and health problems like heart conditions and kidney problems and other things that wait, what? Heart disease and childhood trauma? Who knew? Who knew? And so I discovered that I said, why are we not talking about this? Suicide was one of the things that they found that was highly related to childhood trauma. I'm like, why is nobody saying more about this? Then I discovered Dr. Burke Harris. I forget her first name right now. I forgot. Her last name is Dr. Burke Harris. She's currently the Surgeon General, I think, of the state of California. She had a talk because she also discovered that, wait, all these kids coming in with ADHD is actually not ADHD, it's childhood trauma. She also challenged the norm and she got elevated. Great, because she's a black girl that rocks. So I was like, why are we not talking about this? Why is everyone focusing on the outcome of trauma, which is mental health challenges and suicide? What about the trauma itself? Who is saying anything? And that's kind of how I decided, you know what? Maybe I'm going to take this on. Poor me, right? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? You have a job that pays you $250,000 plus every year. Because by the time I left, I was at 280 or something a few years ago. And you want to leave that to talk about a controversial topic? Have you done lost your mind? And I was like, well, somebody has to do it. My dog is aggravating me. 1 second. Lulu, really? Right now? 1 second. And so I found myself in the space where I am right now, educating, facilitating, talking, writing, reading, learning, a whole new frontier out there about childhood trauma. And then I discovered the LGBTQ plus community, really through my child and their suffering and the suicide rate. First of all, I discovered that Black kids aged 5 to 12, there's a study that was done that said, that concluded that Black kids aged 5 through 12 are twice as likely as their white counterparts to die by suicide. There was that one. I was like, what? Then I discovered um, yeah, and I discovered that the LGBTQ plus community, particularly transgender and now non-binary, because that's a newer word for me, transgender and non-binary kids have a high rate of suicide, 4 times. Hmm? So black kids age 5 through 12 are twice as likely as the white kids to die by suicide. LGBT kids have 4 times as 4 times as likely as the non-LGBT kids to die by suicide. So the black LGBT child, what are their suicide rates? Definitely a multiple of 2 and 6. I'm 2 and 4. I'm thinking. I know it's not direct, but I'm thinking, yes. And then I happen to have a black LGBT child. And as you know, it's a whole taboo.com in the black community. So before I forget, I'm going to put my website on here. Watch this. Check it out. I have a free PDF for parents of queer kids before I forget. But yeah, so I was like, what? So the black queer child is in trouble. Serious trouble. Who is saying anything about that? But because I didn't want to just solely, I can, but I didn't want to just solely focus on black queer kids, which I might down the line. I realized that all queer kids are struggling. There's brown kids that are queer. There's other color kids, because we put color into the mix, that are also struggling. So, who's taking care of those people? And more importantly, as a mother of a queer child, I realized that I struggle. I struggle a lot. So now we have two situations. We have the queer child and then we have their parent. And then I realized that working with suicidal kids, all my kids were doing better, but they kept coming back because they were going back to toxic environments, whether it's at the home level or at the street level or at the school level. Somewhere the kids were getting traumatized, re traumatized. So I said, you know what? I can't take care of everybody, that's for sure. But I can take care of someone like me, which is a parent of a queer child and their queer child. So while I mostly speak about parents of queer kids, I also venture to take care of queer kids as well. Somebody has to do it. And that's how I got here. That's a short synopsis, a very brief synopsis of how I got here, how I became this person that is fighting to save the LGBTQ plus child by saving their parents, by holding space for their parents, by helping their parents develop self love, self acceptance through self discovery. It's a hard one, but it can be done. Why do I say that? Because we as parents have an avalanche of drama from ourselves, our family members, other siblings of their kids, extended family, spouses, friends, co workers. It's a lot for the parent. It's a lot for the parent. And so, my job today, I actually left medicine, got my license, got my certification as a life coach, and picked up parents of queer kids. And let me tell you something. When I looked, you know how you're supposed to do a research, market research, I found this many people who look like me, who are physicians, who are also life coaches, focusing on parents of queer kids. Now, there might be others, but they are not Nigerian. They're not physicians. They're definitely not pediatricians. They're not queer themselves and a parent of a queer child. It's a lot. It's a whole vibe. And I am at that intersection. So when you've been given a message to deliver, you got to deliver it. And so I said, here I am, Lord, send me. And so today I help parents just like you. But more importantly, I help really, truly everyone to realize that they can be allies. We can all be allies. Should be the name of my next book. We should all be allies. Should be the name of my next book. Because that's a real fact. Yesterday I talked on my page, on my regular Facebook page, we talked about the fact that because we don't have enough people owning their allies shit. Okay, allyship. Because we don't have enough people owning their space as allies, coming out as allies, because we don't have enough people doing that, homophobia continues, racism continues. Everyone is thinking it's not my circus and the monkeys are not mine. And so homophobia continues and racism continues. So I'm putting it to you today that whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not, you should be an ally. Whether you're a parent or not, you should be an ally for your kid and more importantly, for yourself. You should speak up against homophobia. You should speak up against discrimination of any kind, really. And so I'm asking you today to join me. Join me in my quest to create a more allied world, because I happen to be a mother of a queer child who is also transgender. And because of that, I decided to teach classes all across San Antonio. I'm going to be teaching at all the libraries. I'm going to be having events for parents, events for the community, events for allies. And I'm going to be teaching master classes every month. My very first master class is coming up on the 29th of this month, January. I'm going to be teaching on the top 3 mistakes that parents make when their kids invite them into their queer space. And I'm asking you to consider signing up. It is only $39. No, it's not free. But the value you're going to get in that 1 hour is priceless. And so join me on the 29th of January. You're going to see me talking about this a lot. And if you don't think you need the class because you're doing great, fantastic. Invite someone. Let them sign up for the class. It's going to be awesome because I'll be teaching it. But you're going to join me in teaching because I want to learn. There's so much that I don't know. 6 months is a short time. So join me, will you? On the 29th of January at 6 p.m. Central on Zoom. The links are everywhere. Join me. Even if you think you already have the answers, please join me because we could all be better educated. We could all be better allied in our allyship. So thank you for watching. Join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. Central. I'll be back here again talking about, I think I'm calling this hanging out with Dr. Lulu or something. I forgot what we said yesterday. Hanging out with Dr. Lulu. All right. Whew, I needed to get that out. So please share this video if you can. Tell someone about me and join me on the 29th of January and every month henceforth for my masterclass. Every month we're going to discuss something. This month we're discussing the top 3 mistakes that parents make. Not because there are only 3, but because they are the top 3 that I've seen. Why? Because I made all 3 mistakes. So let's go, shall we? I'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Central. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, but it's going to be fun. All right. Peace, love, and so bye.